if you were taking money out of your privately run account, you'd be taking a lot of money out at the wrong time. But if you needed it to, you know, to feed yourself, to take care of your family, to take a road trip, you'd be using money that you should not be using effectively. And I really don't like that system. I think that I would rather have a fixed system with Social Security, but it runs out of money in 39, okay? 37 to 39, you run out of money. Okay, is it an easy problem to solve? No. I met with AARP. Dave Bruns is an old friend of mine. He's their sort of their PR person. And we were talking about that. He said there are 12 different solutions to be considered, 12. And you look like intelligent people that read. So you read each one of them. It says pro and con, pro and con. And it's like, oh my God, they're all good arguments. This one sounds good, this one sounds bad, this one sounds... So to get that resolved with a Republican Congress is going to be very, very difficult. As you know, it's just going to be awfully difficult. So that issue is going to be presenting us as we go on. However, you know, one of the questions I asked today was, what are you going to do for people in your district? Okay? I said, well, I'm going to Washington, and I'm going to be out there saying, pass the buck here, you know, get myself wealthy like everybody else, and get the people that pay me to that pay me for taking trips and stuff like that. But the reality of it is, there's very little we can do as a newbie in Congress. You know that. There's 435 people. And come on, and you're the newbie on a block, you're in a basement somewhere where no one knows where you're at and stuff like that. The committee, they're gonna give you some committee you never heard of, you know, and stuff like that. But the important thing is, my background, if you read that, my background is that I'm an attorney. I've been in private practice. I was an elected district attorney. I'm very familiar with the criminal process and the problems with the process, and the problems of putting people in jail with minor offenses, and the problems of discrimination, especially in certain parts of this country. So I'm very familiar with those issues. I was a consumer advocate for Metropolitan-Dade County. You know Metropolitan-Dade County, some rough areas over there. But I was a consumer advocate for 11 years. I was the first one there. And in that job, we were taking care of people. We were taking care of the customers and people there in Miami. Things like filing class actions, automobiles. I remember the Vega, the Chevrolet Vega. You remember that? If you had one, you know what I mean? It's an environmentalist dream, the totally biodegradable car. It just totally rusted out and about. Remember that? Yeah. I mean, it was a great looking car. I thought it'd be, you had one? Yeah. I really thought that the Vega, you had one?
Yeah, 73.
73.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, we filed class action lawsuits on behalf of them and Ford Motor Company for cars that rusted prematurely, settled those. I've settled. So we've done a lot of stuff with consumers in that area. And then when I was Deputy Attorney General, we were doing the same thing. When I was Deputy Attorney General for Bob Butterworth, I don't know if any of you met Bob Butterworth. He brought me up from Miami as his Chief Deputy and to run the office and handle everything that has to be handled over there. But what I found out is that there are many issues that affect people. There was one case that really bothered me. We had a situation where, the milk cartons that kids get in school, little ones. Well, we were looking at the pricing of those and who's winning the bids for these school contracts. And in some cases, what would happen is that the east coast of Florida would win a bid to provide milk on the west coast of Florida. And then other years, the west coast of Florida would win the bid to provide the east coast of Florida. So you're thinking, what? What are you thinking? Price fixing, maybe? But proving it. It took a while. I brought in somebody who was a guru, one of those consumer gurus, that knows what it is. And after a long time analyzing it, we figured out they were price fixing it between themselves so they could maximize their profits. So one year was this company, next year was that way. But we hit them hard. We hit them hard on that kind of a case. But what I'm trying to get at is that I believe that the best thing I can do as your person is to have you be able to contact me with your problem, so we can help you with that problem. A simple case. This is Ohio. Somebody contacted me for Ohio. They knew I was a Marine. They were, this guy's dad was in the Coast Guard, and he was a chief petty officer in the Coast Guard. He died, and so this is the phone call. He says he died, and they had a pension that was supposed to be that the wife is supposed to get when he goes. You can have those kind of, you can either choose to have your own, forget the wife, you know, or forget the husband, depending who's in the service, or you can have it split up like I have with mine. Something happens to me, my wife gets part of my pension. Well, he had it, so his wife gets it. In the last 6 years, they have not been able to get it. They have received no money for the widow. And why? The Navy said they've lost the records, and they can't deal with it. Well, one good thing about my situation is that the Marine Corps stuck me in the Pentagon for a short period of time, and I was supposed to handle congressional inquiries. So if you had a problem and you contact a congressman, what they would do is they'd contact the Pentagon, which was me at that time, and they would say, here's my problem, I'm not getting my pension, what can you do? Well, we can do things. We can do things. We can actually go and solve the problem, or if there isn't any record of it, find out what the record should have been and start getting this lady some income, and having 6 years without having the income coming in. And I think that's what I feel we can do a lot for everybody here. And there are just many other issues out there. Healthcare. Okay, my opponent says, nope, we're going to get rid of healthcare. And that's okay. He wants to get rid of, they call it Obamacare, Affordable Care. If they want to do that, that's okay. But tell me what you're going to replace it with. Are we going to go back to where we were? I mean, why did we even have an Affordable Care Act? The reason was because that wasn't working. If you had a pre-existing condition, tough luck. If you had other problems, and you couldn't only get high deductible stuff, tough luck. If you work for a company, you're probably lucky. So we did get an Affordable Care Act, but now the costs are rising. And there's a reason for those costs rising. First of all, there are a lot of good things in that bill. But for example, the number one, I read this in a recent article, the number one cause of rising premiums is, what do you think?
Young people aren't signing up for.
That's one of they're not, that's one of the principal causes. And what else would you think?
Cost of drugs.
Drugs, you got it. It's drugs. And why is that raising the premiums? It's because in the law, it says, in very religious terms, thou shalt not be able to go out there and deal with the drug companies and try to come up with the best deal. Thou shalt not do that. So guess how they passed that? How did they get that kind of a bill in there that says you cannot bargain, you cannot negotiate with drug companies? You know why?
You pay off the congressman.
Money, yeah, you're right. The drug companies got a lot of money, so they come, I'm waiting for mine, I'm waiting for them to come over. And but you're right, it's money. It's the drug companies who went over to where? They went over to the congressman, they talked to him nicely. By the way, all congressmen really like being important. And remember, they're only important as long as they're congressmen, and no one gives a damn who they are. But the thing is, they come in there, they provide them with trips, they provide them with finances, they support their campaigns, and you get a bill like that. And designed primarily to protect drug companies. So I think the Affordable Care Act is okay. I think Obama's had a tough break dealing with it because of what happened to him. He got the best he could. Is it the best? No. Is it going to be better? No. But however, I'm with Bernie. I say we should have, universal care, just have public option, and just have the public option, then everybody's going to be covered. Now, my opponent today said, well, there are countries that have all private plans and they do great, but he didn't name the countries. But there are countries that have a public option, like Canada, Australia, and others in Europe, where it does work. And there's no reason every one of you shouldn't have coverage at an affordable rate. And, and mental health has to be covered. mental illness, they're not covered now. In Leon County, you cannot get a psychiatrist or a psychologist with a PhD. You cannot get them to send in a voucher for a Medicare or Medicaid. They want cash up front. I know because my sister's depressed. She's going under. And they want cash up front. And they won't even process it for you. You got to try to process it all. So there are difficulties in the healthcare program. It's going to get better. It's going to be a tough road. But I think, we're just going to have to deal with it. We have to do what people have done in the past. Get out there and demonstrate and show up like, the people do. You've got to show up. You've got to let people know you're really, really pissed off and you want this problem solved. Otherwise, we're always going to be in a dump. We just can't lay down and get it done. And I got to tell you about this election. I have a good feeling about this. When I got into this quite accidentally, I almost got a divorce on that one. When I told my wife the last minute we're going to run because somebody has to run, and the progressives asked me to run, I said, okay, I'll do it, is that when we have a situation where you have a guy like Trump at the head of the ticket, and the question they asked me is, what do you think about Trump running and how's it going to affect you? I said, I'm assuming there's a whole bunch of people that are true Trump believers. But I think there's another chunk of people who, when they go in there to press the button, when you have to go in there and make that decision about your kids, your family, your daughters, and everything else, you might hesitate and you may decide, well, maybe I won't vote at all. Every time they do that, it's a vote for us. I think the stars are aligning themselves similar to 1964. See, I remember that because I'm older than all of you. So, it's easy for me. When Goldwater was running for thing, and it was so bad at that time that the Republican Party got wiped out. And guess what? The Democrats took over and we had a golden era of progressive legislation. Unfortunately, the people who voted in 64 didn't all come out to vote in 66. So guess what happened? It started reversing itself with the Republicans coming in there and causing the damage. You're all intelligent people. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But I'm just saying this race is winnable. I regret that Gwen was sort of backed out. I think she would have been a good candidate. I think she could have won. But I think we're going to surprise them on this thing here. Yeah, I know that my opponent has a lot of money. I know he put $280,000 of his own money into the primary. I know that we aren't getting any money from anybody. The Democratic Party says this is a loser deal, so they're not giving us any money. The unions, and I'm a pro-union person, I represent unions. The union people aren't giving us any money. They say, well, this is a loser district, we'll go somewhere else. So we're depending on individuals. And we're doing okay. We're doing okay. We're going to get enough that we can get our message out with these brochures or these radical artists that are running around making up these signs of their own because I told them I didn't want to spend the money on the art signs. So, I think we will have an opportunity here to, not only that, but the other thing I want to mention is that we have some really great people in the Democratic Progressive Party, and they're going out there and taking these. And I've got one guy, Ben, how much has this fellow done? How many has he handed out door to door?
Thousands.
Yeah, well, at least 1,000. He says, I want to take the message. He's going door to door with these cards, handing them out. And that's big. That's big. So anyway, it's going to be a tough campaign. It's going to be up to you to take these cards. I have extras here. All you have to do is ask me. Give them to your neighbors. Walk down the street. I see some minorities here. Get the minorities to vote. Because they've been the problem in these off years, a problem. But now, this is really critical. Obama's out there working. All of us should be working. And I'm not into robocalls. I won't have robocalls on my campaign. Sorry. But the thing is, I am supportive of people getting on phone banks and calling people. We were at headquarters. We were one of the sites for the Obama campaign. And my wife, bless her heart, she made breakfast for them, she made lunch for them, she made dinner for them. Why did she do that? She didn't want them to leave the house. She wanted to be on the phone, calling all the time. We can't afford to miss a vote. Get on the phone. So that's what's going to happen with here, with all your help and your support. I have a lot of faith in you guys, support everybody else, and God bless America. It's still the greatest country in spite of what happened. Right? Okay, well, thank you very much. Oh, by the way, I have a book. Ben, would you just give that book out to everybody? I have a manual there. It's a consumer manual. I used to teach at the University of Miami Law School. I used to teach class actions. I taught at Florida International on a graduate, undergraduate level, and at FAMU. I taught a course there. And one of the things I do is I give this book out to every student when they begin their classes, so they know what their rights are. And I don't know if we have enough, but whatever we have, you guys should have. Put it in your pocket, carry it home. And when you have a lemon law problem, it'll be in there, because who wrote the lemon law? I passed the lemon law. And because I wanted that, I felt that was something we needed as consumers, and I was in the AG's office. And I still drive my Dodge Dart, which I drove all over supporting passage of the lemon law. Okay? Thank you very much. It's got a slide 6 in it, by the way.